Hello and welcome to the Heat Check podcast, the Miami Herald's Miami Heat podcast. I'm David Wilson. I'm joined, as always, on the other line by Anthony Chang, our Heat beat writer here at the Herald. Anthony, what's going on?
Much, David, but today I'm not the exciting one on the podcast. So
You're boring today.
Yeah.
We are very excited to have ESPN and Anscape's Marc Spears, also a co-host and executive producer of the new show, The Conversations Project on Hulu. But for our purposes, most important, the Damian Lillard whisperer. Marc, we've got to talk Dame.
Chris Haynes might want to argue with you on that one.
I guess that's true. One
yeah.
of the Damian Lillard whisperers.
There you go.
Yeah, we got to ask you about Dame. We also want to ask you just got the Kurt Gowdy Award from the Hall of Fame. Obviously, you were there with Dwyane Wade, so we got to ask you about that. Do want to ask you about your show a little bit too, but Anthony, you want to kick us off with the big question here?
Yeah, I guess the obvious one is that you spoke to Dame a couple weeks ago at his camp in Phoenix, I believe, right? It was in Phoenix.
Yeah. Yes,
it was the first interview I think Dame has done since the trade request came out. What's your, for just from talking with him, I know he didn't want to go too deep into it and get into too many details, but what's your current sense of the situation? And do you feel, I mean, it's been so quiet last few weeks, last few months, but do you feel like anything has changed since the trade request was made as far on his end or Portland's end? Or do you think it's just kind of waiting who blinks first?
I don't think it's changed on either end. You know, obviously he could have talked about Miami, but everything I'm feeling is that from his camp is that, yeah, he wants to be in Miami. And the big question is, well, why Miami? Why not, Boston? Why not somewhere else? Dame is a guy, I saw his incredible workout, and I would encourage Heat fans to go watch it out. It's on YouTube. His draft workout was still the most incredible draft workout I've ever seen. And so he's somebody that's not only a hard worker, but he likes structure, likes stability, likes almost like in a military sense, likes things to be, you know what you're getting every day. And if it's tough, he likes it even more. And so that Heat culture, I know you guys know being around it is a real thing. And I think he's attracted to that. I think also when you see the Heat making the finals and they could potentially run it back next season with him after having made the finals, like, to me, I think he knows he could be the missing piece to getting a championship. And so then, the Miami weather's nice, good place for a family to be. And when you make that much money, 30+ million, or I know it's north of that, obviously, no state tax certainly means a lot as well. And I think there's also some, if it does go down, I feel like there's some marketing surprises that they got.
Sure.
That they're already ready for. So I don't think it's changed from his standpoint, how eager Portland is to do it. I guess it's kind of like a gamemanship, right? It's a chess match. Like, how much longer can you play this game? Because you don't want Dame coming to camp.
Right.
You don't want to put him in that position. And then also, you got to think of like the long-term ramifications that this has. Like when I go to Portland games, right, there's no like Bill Walton ain't there. Clyde Drexler isn't there. Terry Porter's there on occasion. Like there's no face of the franchise that is kind of around that they could, put their arm around and say, this is our guy. And Dame's going to move back to Portland, or he's going to stay in Portland. He just built a new house in Portland. And so when you look at what happened with Kevin Garnett, like Kevin Garnett wants nothing to do with the Timberwolves right now. His jersey's not retired. Carmelo Anthony's situation in Denver is a mess. He's going to be a future Hall of Famer, and I think Denver's going to try to figure it out, this upcoming season. But, Dame's a very prideful guy. So if this becomes more dramatic than it needs to be, in his mind, he probably much more apprehensive about, embracing the franchise going forward. So, would it been easier if there was 3 teams involved? Perhaps, right? But I think the league has so much respect for him that regardless to whether this trade request, which he acknowledged there has been a trade request, is to Miami or not, I think the league respects him so much that they're not getting in the way with it.
Yeah.
There's not, like to me, like if you asked me a month ago who would be the only team that would consider like trying to be wild and just make a trade for Dame, I thought it might be Boston, but I don't even. I think it's just like a waiting game, but it hurts Portland in the sense where with each passing day, whoever you're bringing in, that's one less day they have to get ready for next season. It's one more day that they have to lose to get used to Portland. So I'm sure there's Portland fans are probably yelling at me, yeah, like he can't hold us up for ransom. Situation
Kinda
is
can.
what it is.
Yeah,
I
kinda
mean,
can.
and I do think that I don't know why there's this Tyler Herro hate. I think he's a phenomenal shooter and player. I
Yeah.
don't know why it's like we don't want him. I mean, could he be the best player on their team next season? He could
Could
be.
be. He could
Yeah,
be.
he
Yeah.
could be. The kid from UCLA, pretty good.
Yeah.
Like, also you got to remember Dame's 33 years old. So with these young guys like Scoot Henderson, who I think is going to be an iconic player, um, it just makes sense to try to figure this out. So it's like, last year I had to get a colonoscopy, man. I had to get it done, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, why belabor it, man? Like, I had to drink that fluid, and then when it was over, I felt better, right? And
You got it done. You got it
and,
done.
and my results were good. I don't know if that's the greatest analogy in the world, but I'm gonna go with it.
I like it. Yeah, we've talked about the Tyler Hero aspect of all this, and like, I know Portland doesn't need another guard, right? But at this phase,
talent, man. Like,
yeah, exactly. I'm saying, right? They're not gonna win now mode.
Let Chauncey figure it out.
They gotta acquire talent, right? That they could flip for assets at some point. That's kind of where
How many
they're
guys
at.
in the league are better shooters than him?
Yeah, no, I agree. And on the move, on the catch, he's versatile. He's a versatile
Doesn't have to
shooter.
dribble 100 times to shoot.
No,
Hey Tyler, I know you're listening. You dudes are big time down there. I'm a fan of yours, brother. So I talked good about you a couple times already, man. Remember that when I need that interview done.
he's a polarizing guy for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I see that you touched on a little bit there. But you know, from knowing Dame, from talking to him last month, how hard do you think this has been on him? Just kind of, we know his love for Portland. We know his love for Portland.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think it's talked about enough. Like this hasn't been easy for him, I'm sure. Like how hard do you feel like this has been for him?
Yeah, I asked him who are his guys, like who are his like people that he's confiding in and like getting advice from, and it's kind of like big brothers. And he mentioned the main one is and here's a story idea for you. I shouldn't be giving this to you, right? But
Mo
Williams is his like number one guy. And he's a basketball coach at Jackson State, so I think he's talking to Mo the most. Look at the light bulb went over his head right now.
What is Jackson State's SID then?
Yeah. And he's talking to like a lot of his former teammates like Earl Watson and Darrell Wright, and actually Brian Shaw, Oakland native, is Clippers assistant coach, is kind of like a uncle to him as well. And so I said, what is the same thing that they're telling you? He just said, be patient, and this too shall pass. And so that's kind of his mentality. He also said he's getting a lot more spiritual. How spiritual, how deep, I don't know, but he said his spirituality has increased a lot in the last couple months. He's been leaning on that. So I do sense there is some frustration with him. Like he wants this over with. But at some point, right now Portland holds the cards. He has to wait, but it's you kind of play with fire on this, and I think the one thing that they know is even if they play with fire on this, like Dame ain't James Harden, right? He's not going to start a fire. Yeah. At least I don't think he will. Respect and professionalism is really, really important to him. And so does he come to camp if he's not moved yet? Does he come to media day? There's not a PUP list in the NBA, right? Like I I really hope it's done for him before then, because that would be a really unfortunate thing to see.
Yeah, that media day would not be. That would be
Yeah.
a circus if he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that's the card he has to play, right? That everyone's like, is he going to play it? But from what everyone says,
I
who
don't
knows
think he
him better
wants
than we
to.
do, he doesn't want to
Like
play it. Yeah,
he's also beloved in Portland. Like
Right.
everywhere he goes, this is like, have you ever seen a place where most of the people in the city are like, you know what, we still love him, we understand.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like they're like burning his jersey like they did LeBron in
Right.
in Cleveland afterward, the decision and all that. They're like, hey man, we still love you and we'll see you back.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
see you back later. And who knows, maybe at the end, if he'll come back and finish his career there, right? Like, in a lot of ways, man, you got to be the bigger person. And but Miami is like, they don't have no competition, so it's an interesting dance that these franchises are playing, because I'm sure Miami wants to get it done, but they also hold a lot of they hold the cards on their side, right? They don't have any competition, but hey, also Portland's like, all right, well, we'll still wait because we don't like the deal. So it's be interesting to see who blinks.
You rattled off a bunch of reasons that Miami makes sense, but you did ask him specifically about his championship aspirations in that interview, and he said the desire for that is as high as it's probably going to be right now.
Yeah.
Is that number one? Like, that's why it's Miami?
Well, if there's one thing that to me tells you that he's done there, it's that.
Yeah.
He's not going to win a championship there. Is he even going to get to a playing game there, right? Like, it's a rebuilding situation. So to me, that tells you if you want to win a championship, like going to Miami puts you in that position. Staying in Portland doesn't. So I just think that it's not that he didn't want to win a championship before, but it's really glaring now. He's a smart guy. He's 33. He knows there's probably about 5 years left. Well, today's NBA player might be 20, right? But
right.
And the way he keeps his body together and everything, I could see him playing at 40 years old on a high level. But he's checked out of there, man.
Yeah. And he views Miami, you think, is the best chance for him to get that ring?
Yeah, the only one on the list.
Yeah, exactly.
Sounds like it to me. Yeah.
Mark, I guess with all that being said, what's your prediction? The magic question, number one question, $1 million question, whatever you want to call it. What's your prediction how this is resolved and when it will be resolved?
I think it gets resolved, and I think it gets resolved before camp.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, it's like I think it hurts both people if it doesn't, the longer it takes, unless you, like, he doesn't want to be there. Like, do you want that? Like, do you want that loudness? Do you want me there on media day?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you want it to be the Scoot show, right? You want it to be the Scoot show on media day.
Yeah, I carry this sickle with me sometimes. Like, I was in Phoenix last year for media day after all the craziness with their president, right? You don't want me at your media day. Not like that.
Yeah, that will be. I think I'll be covering Portland's media day closer than the Heat's media day.
Yeah.
If he's still there.
But if he's there, bro, I'll see you at Prime 112.
Yeah. I think we all want that, right? So we'll move on from the Lillard stuff. We wanted to get into also Hall of Fame, your Hall of Fame experience. David touched on it a little bit in the beginning. Congratulations on being awarded with that, the Kurt Gowdy Mead Award. Very prestigious honor. For those who don't know, it's like top award you can get, as a media member covering basketball. What was that experience like? I mean, what was that weekend like for you?
I'm still trying to put it in perspective. It's been such a whirlwind since then, and also promoting this television show, The Conversations Project, that I haven't really had a chance to just sit down and, I live in the Bay Area, sit on the dock of the bay and just kind of reflect on it. But it was certainly one of the most special weekends of my life. I had to the Hall of Fame didn't have any events at the actual Hall of Fame other than parties late at night. And so I had to this one of the drivers, amazing driver, man. He got me in through some back door so I could see my name. Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen it.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm not leaving Springfield without seeing my name, man. Like, like if I'm ever in the, and my mom had went the day before, and she
Mhm.
saw the list and took a picture with it. So it was like just humbling to think like that my name is in there. As long as that building's there, my name's gonna be in there. And that every day somebody's gonna go in that museum. And maybe they blink and walk by it, right? But what if they do look at it, right?
Yeah.
What if like a kid is inspired and he sees that like, oh man, I saw that guy on TV. Maybe I could do that too, right? Like they could have put my name upside down in the hall, in the back room, bathroom somewhere. I'm in there. And to think that I played college basketball, but did nothing to like brag about with you guys, never scored a point in the NBA, never, but to be in that room, like without scoring a basket is actually pretty incredible to me. Like to get there after covering the NBA for 24 years and covering college, because it counts college basketball too.
Mhm.
And I covered Denny Crum, Hall of Famer with Louisville, and Tubby Smith with Kentucky, and Bobby Braswell with Cal State Northridge. But the main guy, my guy, is Nolan Richardson, and I got him as my first job. I covered Arkansas after their 2 Final Fours with Nolan Richardson. So um, then to have done 24 years of covering the NBA, to just it's I don't know, man. Like I look at the ring and I put it away in a safety deposit box, but I'm in, dog. Like
That's
it's
awesome.
and to be one of only 4 black writers that have made it since its inception in '90. It's me, David Aldridge, Day Dupree, and Mike Wilbon is humbling in itself. There's actually never been a black writer a black journalist who's won the electronic award. It's always been print. So I'm putting Mark Jones' name up there, man. You're Miami guy. Mark has been doing great NBA
I
work
like that. I like that one.
nationally since the late '80s, right? Like
Yeah.
he was on the original NBA Today show. Like Mark deserves to be there, and I hope he has the opportunity to make history.
He used to be a studio guy for the Heat, I believe. For the local game, local
But
broadcasts.
remember that? Oh, there was
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe
I
this.
think
I
it was
don't
called
know.
Whammy.
I ain't gonna put your
Yeah.
age out there, but like there was a TV show called NBA Today, and they had Mark Jones and
Yeah, I
David
remember that.
Aldridge.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
so that was like I used to watch that show religiously, man.
Yeah, that was an awesome
And
show.
I was at the show where I think Mark would be in a chair and he would like fall back and try to shoot the ball
Yeah.
into the like
Oh yeah.
trash
Yeah.
or the paper into the trash or something like that. But no, it's for my mom to be there. My dad has ALS and he's also has cancer. So my sister went to their home in New Orleans and watched it with him. Like for him to see it, yeah,
Yeah.
man, that meant the world to me. And for me to highlight my mom, my wife, and all that is just beautiful.
That's amazing. That's
Yeah, it's awesome.
that's special. One other thing about the Hall of Fame we want to ask about is another legend was not among many legends were inducted this
Yeah.
year. But a Heat legend, Dwyane Wade, was obviously inducted, and he obviously looked to really enjoy the weekend and really soaked it all in. Did you have any run-ins with him? Was
Oh
any
yeah,
conversations with him in
man,
Springfield?
he's the best, man. Like I actually when I found out about it, he was still a nominee. He
Mhm.
was like, "Come on, it's
Yeah, we all
formality."
knew. We all knew.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it was we were in Salt Lake City and I got announced and I thought they called my name, but they did it and he kind of like grabbed me and had me sit back down. Uh, I'm like, thanks, Dwayne. Like I didn't get embarrassed on national TV because of him. And so I got a great picture with him and um, some other Hall of Famers, Holly Rowe and Jerry Colangelo and whatnot. But I just think that it was funny because after my speech, and I don't know if you guys heard my speech, he was walking up to get his jacket.
Mhm.
He comes up to me, goes, "Man, that was really funny, man. It was really funny." He said, "You know how hard it is to be funny?" And I was like, "Oh, thanks." Like I didn't know. I was like, "I'll just be it myself."
Yeah.
And I thought my speech was pretty good till I heard his, man. I mean, to me, he had one of the greatest speeches I've ever heard at Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
got to be up there with the top speeches ever. And to honor his father like that, to show his dad in such a positive light and to walk off with him. Like, I still got the picture, like being in there. I took the picture of him and his dad, and that was a really, really beautiful moment for me to see, for everyone to see. But he had humor in his as well. And like,
Yeah.
he must have spoke for a half an hour, but it didn't feel like that because I
Yeah.
was riveted by his whole. It was almost like he put on a play.
Yeah. His delivery was amazing, like incredible.
Yeah.
Like the
And
delivery of
then
everything. Yeah.
I got invited to his parties, but I had so many people with me that I couldn't go. Like, I got invited to his parties and Tony Parker's parties.
You should have
And
left them.
yeah, see, they were loyal to me. They pay all that money to get out there.
I'm kidding.
But the one funny thing, I'll throw this out there, is Dwyane Wiggins from the legendary group Tony, who was a great friend of mine. He went into Tony Parker's party without being invited. And this is like one of the greatest soul groups of all time. And they kicked him out. They kicked him out the party because they didn't recognize him. Like, who's this dude? Like, with these,
did they welcome him back or what? Or did he?
I mean, we were at another party since 5, but I was like, oh, let's go back there. You'll get in with me,
Yeah,
right?
You're the big shot in
yeah,
Hall of Fame weekend.
He's about to do his new concert tour with Rafiq and Tim, and they're all going to be back. And so that's their world. But I'm like, this is my world, dog. Tony's my guy. I could have got you in there, but I found out later. He's like, yeah, man, Tony Parker's people kicked me out of the party.
That's crazy.
Before we let you go, we want to ask you about your new show, The Conversations Project, which season 1 on Hulu now, right?
Yeah.
It seems like a cool idea for a show. I'm curious where this idea came from, how it came together, and maybe what the best thing you ate on it was, because as Anthony will tell you, we secretly wish we were a food podcast, the tech podcast. So first of all, where the idea come from?
Yeah. Initially it was me and a chef friend of mine who was on the show, Chef David Lawrence. We initially wanted to just have a show where we brought athletes to vineyards, and I would do a interview with them in the winery and interview with them in the tasting room, and then he would bring them into the kitchen and curate a meal based on them and their background, and maybe a family recipe that might bring a tear to their eye. And then we did a pilot with Terrence Mann from the Clippers, brought him to Charles Krug Winery in Napa. And then after that, after I did my interviews with him and Chef met him and they talked Caribbean food, because I think his family's from St. Lucia, we had a roundtable discussion, and it was him, one of his boys, myself, Chef. We also had W. Kamau Bell, the comedian activist, Brian Shaw, the Clippers assistant, and his wife, Chef Nikki Shaw, and a woman named Brene Royale, was a Black woman who's a huge winemaker in Napa. And we had this amazing dinner conversation. And then ultimately in the end, Anscape and Yahoo liked the dinner most and decided to build it into the Conversations Project, and added the amazing Elaine Welteroth from Project Runway and Teen Vogue. And I think the thing that was important to me is, there's so many negative stereotypes about Black people in this country, man. And, whether it's, oh man, we're thieves, or we're bums, and we're not educated, and, or you hear a kid, every time I hear a kid say, I want to play in the NBA, but not say they want to be a doctor or a lawyer, a Black kid, it kind of like, come on, man, we could be both. You could be more than just an athlete or a singer or a rapper. And there's nothing wrong with that, but we should aspire to be more. You're not going to play forever, right? And so I think what we wanted to do with this show is to show Black people in the light that I'm used to seeing. Like, these are the dinners that I'm at. I was inspired by, Mo Better Blues and Boomerang and Love Jones and The Best Man, and these groups of these movies where it was these groups of very educated, smart, Black people doing amazing things. And they weren't hood people, so to speak. Not that there's anything wrong with people from the hood, but everybody was aspiring for greatness. So with every dinner, you got a table full of greatness, and it's not just celebrities. There might be an educator there. There might be an astronaut, or as he called me, an afronaut. Um, Philosophers. We had a lady in the hair industry that was really successful, a financial advisor. So while we have people like um, rapper Roxanne Shante and Shine and Jim Jones and actress Natari Naughton and you know comedian Roy Wood Jr. Like we have all these people. Um, we also have people that everyday people can relate to that are really successful as well. So I think for the people that have already attained high success or on the road to it, they're like, I could be at that dinner. This doesn't feel too elite to me. And then every show, we wanted to highlight a black winery because they're living in the Bay Area, and I'm in Napa Valley all the time. I'm a big time wine snob. There's a lot of great wineries. So every episode we highlight a different black wine that in a lot of ways doesn't get highlighted. They kind of get lost. And so we did that as well. The food is amazing. Chef David Lawrence you guys get to the Bay Area, he has a restaurant called Good Nights in Healdsburg. Go visit him. Nice guy. He'll come give you the same food that you see in the show. So you want that food that's in the show, go to that. But we basically wanted to have iron sharpens iron discussions, very intelligent discussions that you just don't see from us in television, but that's how my daily life is. And so I want black people to watch it, brown people to watch it, yellow people to watch it, white people to watch it, and stop believing that we're this stereotype and really see that there are a lot of educated, smart, brilliant, deep black folks in this country. And then by watching the show, you could learn a lot more about us, our pain, things that make us smile, things that make us, really think and about our futures in this country. And it was number one ranked on Hulu last week in terms of trending, 10th this week. So I'm really, really proud of this show. And hopefully a lot of people could either get educated or maybe also young folks get inspired by it.
That's awesome.
All right, that's Conversations Project. Check it out on Hulu now. Marc, thanks so much for doing this. Maybe we'll get you back on if and when this Damian Lillard trade finally gets done. Maybe we'll get you on in person.
Dun, dun,
You're
dun.
down here in Miami.
Thank you, Marc.
All right,
you'll be down here. You'll be down here a lot if he's down here. So
I'll see you soon.
Thank you, Marc.
All right.
Congrats on everything.
Thank you, brother.
All right, Anthony. Let's wrap up real quick with some FIBA World Cup stuff, specifically Jovic. No, obviously the only Heat guy over there, Spo coaching, but I don't think we have a lot to say about that. You watched any, by the way? I mean, I know you paid attention to Jovic, obviously, and
yeah, I watched.
The timing's been so annoying. 4:30
Yeah.
a.m. Like you can't stay up late. You can't wake up.
Yeah, I haven't watched the 4 a.m. games, but I have watched the 8 a.m. games. So that has been the extent of my viewing. I'm not getting up at 3:30, 4 in the morning in the off season to watch basketball. I'm sorry.
With no
I love
Heat players involved.
With no Heat players involved.
Oh, so. Wow, what a great I don't even
have
know.
two kids.
What's Spo
I have
doing?
2 kids. I need sleep.
Like you can't even be like, wow, what a great set by Spo. It's like way to clap on this bench there, Spo.
I know. It's so weird, by the way, like watching Team USA, I'm so used to Spo getting up and being off the bench. Like he's so animated on the sideline.
Right.
He doesn't move. Like I like watching to see like any reaction.
Yeah, I think when you got, because it's obviously it's Kerr, obviously the head coach, Spo.
Kerr, Ty Lue, Mark Few.
Like normally all those guys would be, I think at the beginning of like a tournament like that, you got to just be like, okay, only the head coach.
Yeah.
Because all four of those guys would be like.
It's just weird seeing it. I'm just not used to it. He's just sitting there. And I'm just like, this is strange. But no, it's been fun to watch basketball, right? In August.
Yeah, that's the one thing that's nice. You can just see highlights on my Twitter feed.
Yeah. And some of the games have been compelling. Like I know Team USA has blown out most of their opponents, but they lost to Lithuania, and whoever they face in the semifinals and the finals, like that, those are going to be tough games for them. And then watching Nikola Jovic, he's been quiet the last 2 or 3 games, but he's flashed his potential has been obvious, right? Like especially in that game where he had 25 points, I think on perfect 9-9 shooting and 5 of 5 shooting on threes. I think the most encouraging thing about about Nico's summer has been his improvement with his 3-point shot, because that's so important for his role with the Heat. Because he's going to get so many of those looks, and that'll be his function on offense, right? It's like to help stretch the floor. And he's shooting, I think, almost 60%, or I think over 60% on threes in the World Cup. He shot it well for the most part in summer league. So that's really encouraging, because he did not shoot the ball well in his rookie season in the NBA. And you would watch him like before games, after shoot-arounds, and that was a focus for him, like improving the 3-point shot. So I think you've seen that on display over the last couple months.
Yeah, especially if like Jaquez is in a trade for Dame or something like that. Like that's the way, like you said, that's the way he's going to get on the floor for the Heat next year. You like the upside, but you want him to be like at this point, he's probably going to have to contribute for the Heat next year if this trade goes according to plan, unless he's part of the trade, obviously. But he's you love his upside, but you want to see upside fun to talk about and think about, but eventually the upside has to turn into something.
It has to translate. Yeah. And I mean, honestly though, if you're Portland, I mean, I don't know if he's gonna be in the deal or if the deal even happens, right? We don't know that, but if I'm Portland, I think we've talked about this in previous episodes. Like, he's the guy I want. He would be the top of my list. And the more I watch him in the World Cup,
younger than Jaquez.
He's 20. He just turned 20. He's 6'11" and still growing. He's probably gonna get to 7 feet. With that skill set,
especially if you're worried about having too many guards, like if you can put that guy as your 4 or something, it's a lot of skill on the floor, stuff like that. So, he remains exciting. Like, and as you wrote about him earlier this week, just important for him to get a lot of basketball in this summer, right? I mean, he missed so much time last year. He missed time in the summer league too. I know he had the really impressive start, but he's making up for lost time this summer just by getting to play against good competition in Europe. I mean, it's better competition than the G League, right? It's better competition than summer league. Like, he's getting, it's not NBA, but it's real, competitive, and high stakes and emotional and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, and he might play NBA guys if they play Team USA at some point in the next few games, So I mean, yes, and I mean the crazy thing is, like, I wrote the story today, and I was looking back at the game logs of his rookie season. His last regular season game, I think, was December 30th. Like, that was his last regular season appearance because of the back injury, because he was pretty much out of the rotation, the G League, when in the few weeks he was healthy. His last regular season appearance was like December 30th or 31st, one of those 2 days.
Yeah, how many games did he even play in the G League? He hasn't, just the number of games this year was pretty low because, like we said, what did he play? 2 in summer league, 3 in summer league, and then I think
he played 4 in summer league this year and then missed the final 3 because of a little injury.
So again, he just hadn't played a lot because, like you said, there just weren't a lot of opportunities between the injury and bouncing back and forth between G League and NBA. So I just really important for him to play and play well, obviously, play well enough to be trusted for a team that's in what round are we in after today?
Semifinals,
right?
Final 4,
so,
and be showcased for a trade. No, I mean, if I'm if I'm the Heat, I'm trying to keep Nico. I know the conversation on Twitter has been, would you rather trade Nico or Jaime?
Yeah.
I mean, I see both sides, right? Like, Jaime seems to be more ready now. He's the older guy. He's maybe more in line with like the win now window. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I mean, Jaime's still kind of an unknown because he played 1 game in summer league, I think, before he got injured, 1 full game. And obviously he hasn't played any, in the preseason, or we haven't even seen him in practice yet. So he's kind of an unknown. With Nico, you kind of know there's a lot of intriguing potential.
Yeah, he had a couple really good moments early last year, right? Not necessarily in when guys were out or whatever. It wasn't like, it's different. The November basketball is way different than playoff basketball. Yeah. But it's not. I expect Jaquez to be better than him this coming season, but like you said, it's not like there's nothing to work with here. It's not like he's a 0. It's not like he's all potential. Like we saw at least a couple good moments. Now we've seen a lot of guys have a handful of good moments, and the hard part of it is sustaining it. But we've also seen a lot of first round picks taken around there that were young and kind of unknown and untested that just never have those moments. So he's ahead of the curve, and where a lot of guys, sort of his peers, not necessarily in that draft, I'm saying, but just generally his peers as late first round picks. He's ahead of the curve for where a lot of those guys are at this point in their career.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, I think we can close things out there. Anthony, you're still behind on Winning Time, right?
I have not watched a single episode of season 2.
Of the new season?
I'm a failure.
I gotta say, you gotta. I think it feels like people are watching it maybe locally a little bit because I've definitely seen.
I gotta watch it.
It's become the Pat Riley show.
It's been 3 episodes.
3 or 4, I think.
Okay.
It's can you spoil it? But at the point wherever we are in the season now, Pat is the coach now. So it's the Pat show. I mean, as we've said,
I heard he slicked back his hair a little bit.
Got the slick, and they like do it like he's like he's putting on like a Darth Vader mask. Like it's
really? It's like super dramatic.
Yeah, and not like, but it's his superhero costume basically.
Yeah.
They show that. I didn't know the story about when they fired Westhead. Bus like made him and Jerry West his goal was like to have Jerry West be the coach, and then like co-coaches with Pat, and like Jerry West just like refused, and so they went out to the press conference and Jerry West was like, actually Pat Riley's going to be the coach.
Is that true though?
And they did say like they put the whole thing on the screen like, yes, this actually happened.
Wow.
So I didn't know that story. I'm sure it's a little bit of everything in it. It's
a little exaggerated.
Fiction, right? It's a dramatization, but it's a great Pat show. I've said on the show before, Pat's basketball life it's like Forrest Gump level. The stuff that he has crossed paths with in his career, going back to high school. He beat Kareem in a game in high school. Like that's how that far back his like legacy goes.
Wow. Yeah, I wonder, and we talked about this before, but now especially since it's turned into the Pat Riley show, I wonder how Pat Riley is experiencing this. Right? Like, is he really not watching it? Like, I know he likes his TV. He always mentions like different TV shows.
Yeah, I was gonna say, is he a movie guy? Like I wonder if he's a big Adrian Brody head. I could see Pat, Oscar award winner. Adrian Brody.
He has to like. I mean, if there was a show about me, I mean, I'm not Pat Riley, obviously, but if there was a show about me, I'd be watching it. I don't care how much I didn't like it. Like, I'd be watching it.
So it's pretty flattering to him, the show. Like, I know Wes doesn't like it. The Wes character's a little cartoonish. Pretty flattering to Pat. Yeah. And it's funny that Chris Riley's also, like, she's not in a lot, but it's like she's
a character. Yeah, she's a character.
It's cool. Gillian Jacobs from Community, so it's
cool. I promise listeners, I promise David that the next time we talk to Pat Riley, unless it's like for something very serious, I will ask him about this show and if he watches it. Because I think it'd be interesting to know how he's experiencing it. Like we've heard things like he's not a huge fan of it and this and that, but like just to ask him and get the answer from his mouth, like that'd be I think people would want to know that. Yeah,
they talked about burning the boats this week or a couple of weeks ago on it. So we're getting into real Pat Riley lore on the show, which is fun for Heat fans. Like, I know it's a Lakers show, but it's like it's kind of become the Pat show, and it's a lot of the most recent episode. Yeah. The most recent episode ended with the entire Lakers team saying "F Boston," so you got that too. Yeah. All right. You can follow Anthony on Twitter at Anthony_Chang. You can follow me on Twitter at DBWilson2. Thanks again to Marc Spears for coming on and talking Dame. Be sure to check out his show on Hulu, and obviously you can read him at ESPN and Anscape. Anthony, we're still kind of in like when news happens, we pop in every once in a while, but training camp gets started soon.
Less than a month away.
Yeah. So, I think we said Damian Lillard trade was going to happen in September.
4 weeks.
So we gotta hurry up if they're going to get this done in time for camp, as we said.
Yeah, time is running out. I thought, I think the week before camp, things will really start to pick up. And my prediction, I agree with Mark. I think it gets done before media day, just because I just can't imagine that they would want
I said, it's got to be the Scoot show. Like.
Yeah, this is inevitable. Just do it. Like, why go through that, right? Like, why put Dame through that? Why put the organization through that? Why take the risk of this getting really, really ugly? Although I know people are skeptical that Dame would actually make it ugly, but who knows, right? I mean, if it gets to that point, he might have no other choice. So My prediction is that this will happen in the next 4 weeks.
All right, you can hold Anthony to that. Thanks again for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you guys later on.